Yeah.
So I have no PhD. I don't have a master's, right? I don't really have any reason that I should be allowed on that stage to talk about quantum. I shouldn't be there, really, right? But as long as you start with some of the fundamentals of a new technology, then you can be comfortable understanding the bits and pieces, the branches that come off it. And it makes you much more confident as an individual when you walk through life speaking to a professor all the way through to an entrepreneur. And I advise this as well in business. It's kind of boring, but really, really map your value chain. Really understand, what am I doing to make this product? What is the actual thing I am selling and delivering for my client? And break it down to the fundamentals.
Could introduce yourself to the audience.
Absolutely. Very nice to meet you all. My name is Alex Challans. I'm the CEO of Resonance. Resonance provides deep tech market intelligence across emerging technologies like quantum, space, and AI. I'm really delighted to have a chat with you today.
Thank you so much. So first, let's kick it off with, what's the current technology that you see that will impact our daily lives in the future?
Well, what I find interesting is the really deep technologies that are not necessarily going to be visible to us, but they will be impacting our lives in the future. So if we take perhaps space technology, which is one of our verticals at the Space Insider, obviously with the SpaceX reducing the launch costs, it's creating incredible opportunities for sending up satellites at a much lower cost into space, which changes our approach to geospatial monitoring, allows us a number of use cases. You go to another market like quantum, it's pretty early days. This is crazy technology. This is very hard to understand for many people. But all you need to know is that there is some deep research going and understanding the fundamental ingredients of our physics, which will hopefully unlock technologies that we would never expect to have done maybe 50 years ago. So I hope that when we look to the future, that there'll be technologies around quantum sensing, quantum compute that are happening in the background. It may not be on your mobile phone. That allow you to have new use cases that you just wouldn't expect.
What keeps you going? Like, what's something that excites you?
So I'm very lucky that I love doing what I do. So I get to wake up and I get to look at the news and go, well, what cool stuff have people done today? So perfect day for me is starting off with, speaking to a CEO of a new company who's struggling through, founder life, need to raise some money, need to pay the salaries. Then going and speaking to a researcher who's perhaps found a way of fabricating quantum dots to build a new type of quantum computer, and then ending the day like catching up with my team. Now, I've painted a very rosy picture, which makes it look like some fairy tale of working in scale-up life. But the reason I enjoy doing it is that diversity of experience that you have when you're a founder and you're working in these markets that you actually really find fascinating, right?
What are the main challenges you see in those really kind of developing and cool technologies? What main challenges do you see from transitioning them from research to like actual commercialization?
When you look at any new technology, you're to a certain extent forecasting the future. Now, when you're looking at something that's in the future, you're basically asking someone, believe you me, that what I'm saying about this technology is going to be real and it's going to make you money. So you've got to have like maniacal faith in what you're saying. You've got to be credible, right? You've got to, and you're putting your credibility on the line because you have to be honest with yourself at the end of the day that it may not work. And so all the best founders, I think, and I admire, have tried a lot of stuff. They have irons in many fires. So they try a lot of things to see, okay, only one or two things need to pay off. You only need to be right 51% of the time. And you keep doing that and interesting stuff will happen. So I think the real challenge is trying to deal with a very uncertain future while also displaying a level of certainty around everything that works to get what you need, which is, well, you need financing, right? So you kind of go back to the labs and how do you go from lab to commercial? Well, it kind of comes back to the same thing. First, you're painting a story of something you believe. And then you're going to ask someone for an awful amount of money quite often.
Of course,
So particularly in deep tech, it's hard because if you're manufacturing a chip, you're building a rocket, right? These are huge pieces of metal. It's not just, on your own setting up a little SaaS company on the side, but the payoffs are huge because you're genuinely creating new technology.
Of course,
So it's a bit of a long answer, but
So how do you think is the best way to kind of find the best people for the job, or like how to create strong teams essentially?
Well, maybe when I was at university, I kind of had this view that if you just build a really cool idea and you kind of set up some infrastructure and you've got your emails sorted out in the right order, that your business will be successful. You're an organized person.
Yeah.
You've got ambition, right? And it's very humbling very quickly when you realize that ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever technology you have, whatever like smarts you have and what you do, everything ultimately has to be done by people. But B, to know how to manage risk. Life is risk, but it's about choosing the right things, and that's what an investor does.
Yeah.
So I sat there in, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago and thinking, well, I was looking at some, pretty traditional businesses, and I thought, well, what in 20 years' time, what am I going to be talking about? What are people like you going to be building? And I thought, well, let's pick the technologies that look like they have potential.
Yeah.
To grow rapidly, really, really rapidly. So this wasn't necessarily passion. It was very much a kind of focused view on what is going to have potential. And the reason you do that is if you try and set up a coffee shop, there's a pretty clear model of what you need to do, right? You need to kind of buy your beans, make a beautiful place, and you do good customer service.
Exactly.
It's not saying anything bad about I love coffee shops.
Yeah.
But if you choose these markets, there's not going to be that many people to compete with. And it gives you a lot of freedom goes back to my other point, to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually pioneer these markets. You can have fun in them. You can meet you can meet the level of seniority of people that you would never be able to meet in the more traditional industries. So for me, it was a very pragmatic choice on the one hand. And secondly, it's not that much more complicated, and it's pretty cool to talk about quantum computing rockets during a day job, right? So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, throughout this journey, you've developed a lot of mental models that would allow multiple areas of your work. So if you could share with us some mental models that you'd recommend for people, that are essential, that you'd recommend to people to develop, to succeed in such new fields and such exciting fields.
Well, this is very derivative of Elon Musk, I'm afraid. So I'm not going to claim this is my idea, but I think it's an idea I rabbit on about a lot. And it's understanding, most people go through life floating around and understanding the leaves on the tree. They understand that last bit of the sentence in the press release, and they kind of go, oh yeah, quantum is interesting. The most important thing you can do in any market you're operating, whether you're operating a coffee shop or you're trying to build a quantum computer, is to get down to the roots and the tree trunk, the fundamentals of what you're talking about. Yeah. So I have no PhD. I don't have a master's, right? I don't really have any reason that I should be allowed on that stage to talk about quantum. I shouldn't be there, really, right? But as long as you start with some of the fundamentals of a new technology, then you can be comfortable understanding the bits and pieces, the branches that come off it. And it makes you much more confident as an individual when you walk through life speaking to a professor all the way through to an entrepreneur. That if you've understood the fundamentals, you'll do a lot better. And I advise this as well in business. It's kind of boring, but really, really map your value chain. Really understand, what am I doing to make this product? What is the actual thing I am selling and delivering for my client, and break it down to the fundamentals. Once you've got down to the root level, the tree trunk level, then you have a lot more intellectual freedom to go do all the fun, fuzzy stuff around the edges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, amazing. To be honest, this is an amazing advice, and I've learned a lot from you throughout this interview. Thank you so much.